Hello, I hope all is well. Thanks for joining another session. My name is Julie. Rohan has asked me to host this presentation. It has been a long time since our channel engaged in a presentation on inclusion. Therefore, it is timely that we visit this area since it is a dominant theme for our channel. Let me begin by saying that a bias is having preference or being against a person, object, or a group using an unfair perspective. There are two types of biases: explicit and implicit. Explicit or conscious bias is when someone has a clear understanding about his or her feelings and attitudes towards others. He or she is aware of the actions needed to extend conscious preferences. Implicit biases or unconscious biases take place at a level where the person is not aware how their actions can exclude or give preference to others. Let me take the time to explain three types of biases. First is the affinity bias. For example, a search committee member is inclined to hire a candidate because he or she went to the same university. Second, perception bias. Someone makes judgment about someone without any just reason. Third is confirmation bias. An individual or a search committee explores a potential hire CV with the intention to confirm their pre-existing beliefs about the potential candidate. Let me say there are other biases, however, Rohan has placed additional resources for you to explore more in the description of this video. We are not free from our biases, and no form of professional development can rid us of this inner desire to be biased. And as a result of our biases, we often make decisions that are not sound. The reality is we all make decisions in milliseconds. If these unconscious biases are not addressed, this can hinder the recruitment of qualified staff and lead to the furtherance of discord in the organization that will limit progress. It is key to note that your bias can force you to say things or make assumptions about someone's intention. In summary, it should be noted that biases can lead to discrimination in the organization and impact sound decision-making. Bias can impact employees' prospects for promotion, yearly appraisals, and the opportunities offered to specific individuals and organizations. When there is unconscious bias in an organization, specific group in an organization can be placed at an advantage or disadvantage. A Gallup poll estimates that the impact of bias on organizations exceeds $550 billion each year. The poll suggests that employees become disengaged, and this lowers the productivity of the organization. Our biases can creep up without us knowing. For example, if a black woman is assertive, she could be deemed as aggressive or even angry. However, someone white may be deemed as passionate. I often observed the absence of short black men in leadership positions. Yes, notice our world leaders and observe their average height. Research has now established that the average male CEO is 3 inches taller than the average male. I am sure this is not based on intelligence, based on the errors made by many of these CEOs. The reality is there is something going on that has a correlation to height and leadership positions. Let us be truthful to ourselves and others. The reality is we live in a system that is filled with prejudices and biases. At times these biases operate unconsciously, and in doing so will lead us into positioning others at a disadvantage. As stated before, the impact of bias in an organization can influence productivity, limit good employee and employer relationships and trust, prevent the recruitment of talented individuals, limit career progression, and create barriers to creativity in an organization. While there are many training sessions that aim to address unconscious bias, it should be noted that no training session or course will change a person unless such training program or course calls for individuals to engage in self-reflection for change. Rohan consistently talks about the need for self-reflection for change in his book. Rohan suggests that the process of self-reflection should lead to behavioral change. Self-reflection on possible unconscious biases will bring into focus our awareness of these biases and allow us to use factual details to make judgment about situations and people. Organizations that are aware of the impact of unconscious bias can take actions to develop an inclusive culture that will allow everyone to contribute to the organizational goals. Knowing the impact of unconscious biases and proactively addressing these issues will promote inclusivity at all levels. Organizations need to spend the time and make the investments required to uncover potential subconscious biases and break the cycle of discrimination caused by biases. I would like to provide a few tips for reducing the impact for unconscious biases in any organization. Strategy 1. Use data to help and make objective decisions. For example, the data could highlight gaps in relation to the promotion of specific segments of your population. Strategy 2. Ensure that diversity and inclusion are central to your organization at every level. Strategy 3. Encourage talk on the issues of possible biases in the organization and hold employees accountable based on policies you have set up that are connected to inclusion and diversity. Strategy 4. Have professional development that will focus on self-reflection for transformation. Strategy 5. Organizations can use AI to make decisions. The use of AI has arrived, and it can eliminate various biases normally made by humans. At this point, I will turn it over to Rohan.
Let me say thanks, Judy, for that presentation. Well taken. And I want to say that the issue of bias is always in operation, and we have to be very careful as we navigate. Sometimes we say things to people and we do not understand the impact that we have been biased based on our conversation and the words that we use. And it's basically your unconscious level working, and we have to be cognizant of that. Sometimes people engage in conversation with me and I feel very offended because they do not understand that they come from a position of privilege and what they're articulating is biased towards me. And I'm sure you have been in that situation before. In reality, there's no such thing as total objectivity. And many will say that I'm being objective, but from what perspective are you being objective from? Let me end by saying we should not let our biases and our prejudices influence us to discriminate against others in our society. If we can neutralize some of these biases by being aware of them, then we are in a better position for a greater level of inclusivity in our society. And that's all for now.